All right, invention of the first ship. Another sign for them is that we carried their ancestors on the loaded ark, then created the sea to ride in. If we willed, we could have drowned them so that their screaming would not be heard, nor could they be saved. Instead, we shower them with mercy and let them enjoy for a while. Yet, when they are told, learn from your past, to work righteousness for your future, that you may attain mercy, no matter what kind of proof is given to them from their Lord, they consistently disregard it. When they are told, give from God's provisions to you, those who disbelieve say to those who believe, why should we give to those whom God could feed if he so willed? You are really far astray. They also challenge, when will that promise come to pass if you are truthful? All they see will be one blow that overwhelms them while they dispute. They will not even have time to make a will, nor will they be able to return to their people. The horn will be blown, whereupon they will rise from the grave and go to their Lord. They will say, woe to us! Who resurrected us from our death? This is what the most gracious has promised. The messengers were right. All it will take is one blow, whereupon they are summoned before us. On that day, no soul will be wronged in the least. You will be paid precisely for whatever you did. The dwellers of paradise will be on that day happily busy. They abide with their spouses in beautiful shade, enjoying comfortable furnishings. They will have fruits therein. They will have anything they wish. Greetings of peace from a most merciful Lord. As for you, O guilty ones, you will be set aside. The devil is the other alternative. Did I not covenant with you, O children of Adam, that you shall not worship the devil, that he is your most ardent enemy, and that you shall worship me alone? This is the right path. He has misled multitudes of you. Did you not possess any understanding? This is the hell that was promised for you. Today you will burn in it as a consequence of your disbelief. On that day, we will seal their mouths. Their hands and feet will bear witness to everything they had done. If we will, we can veil their eyes, and consequently, when they seek the path, they will not see. If we will, we can freeze them in place. Thus, they can neither move forward nor go back. Whomever we permit to live for a long time, we revert him to weakness. Do they not understand? What we taught him, the messenger, was not poetry, nor is he a poet. This is but a formidable proof and a profound Quran. Note, the word dhikr here frequently refers to the Quran's great mathematical code, which is certainly not literary nor poetry. There's a list of verses here if you guys want to verify this. To preach to those who are alive and to expose the disbelievers, have they not seen that we created for them with our own hands livestock that they own? And we subdued them for them. Some they ride and some they eat. They derive other benefits from them, as well as drinks. Would they not be appreciative? Powerless idols. They set up beside God other gods. Perhaps they could be of help to them. On the contrary, they could not help them. They end up serving them as devoted soldiers. Therefore, do not be saddened by their utterances. We are fully aware of everything they conceal and everything they declare. Does the human being not see that we created him from a tiny drop? Then he turns into an ardent enemy? He raises a question to us while forgetting his initial creation. Who can resurrect the bones after they had rotted? Say, the one who initiated them in the first place will resurrect them. He is fully aware of every creation. He is the one who creates for you from the green trees fuel which you burn for light. Is not the one who created the heavens and the earth able to recreate the same? Yes, indeed, he is the creator, the omniscient. All he needs to do to carry out any command is say to it be, and it is. Therefore, glory be to the one in whose hand is the sovereignty over all things, and to him you will be returned. It is noteworthy that the geometrical value of Rashad plus the geometrical value of Khalifa plus the surah number plus the number of verses produces a total that is a multiple of 19. Also, Surah 36 is number 19 among the 29 initial surahs. Praise God. Brother Julius noted the ark represents more than Noah's ship. It represents God's mercy and protection. Humanity exists today because God preserved life and guided it through dangers, and every generation stands on blessings it did not create. Praise be to God. God bless you, Brother Julius. Yeah, I agree with Brother Julius. The ark itself, like God mentioning it, is the the raft that God has given us in this hell. Right? As long as we're able to stay on the raft, God will guide us to safety. And there's a lot of symbolism in it. And it's funny, God has made the previous messengers and the believers that follow them go through literal metaphors, like they're literal events and actions that are now used as metaphors for us today. And they're not aware of what God is designing and setting up. They're not aware that they're going to be used as examples for us in the future. And so it's very, if you look, there's a verse that says, let me see, where's the one? They look at the past. Yeah, chapter 36, verse 45. When they're told, learn from your past to work righteousness for your future, that you may attain mercy. But no matter what kind of proof is given to them from their Lord, they consistently disregard it. This is verse 45 and 46. Right? So just a few verses earlier, he says another sign for them is that we carry their ancestors on the loaded ark. Right? So he's relating the history and how people should think about these stories, these events. And that's all I have to say. Peace be upon you.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Beautifully said, by the way. Very well read. AAA, I like the emotion. Anyone else? Comments, questions, thoughts?
God bless you, bro.
I'll say something just because we brought up this idea of metaphor. When you think about it, all language is a form of metaphor. We're taking a human experience, we're abstracting it in in words that we can articulate to transplant into the heads of someone else. And these words, again, they form a model for us to understand the world. And there's layers to that. The simplistic is the just, hey, what's the literal representation of what's being said? And then there's the allegory of it. Okay, what's the metaphor of this? I think, yeah, the arc, as Julius and AAA mentioned, it's like it can be taken on multiple levels. Was there a physical ark? Yeah, it's made out of rope and logs. It's primitive, and as Triple mentions, like they had no clue that they're serving not only for their local incident that they're dealing with, but as this global metaphor for humans to understand that yes, if you're on God's ark, you're going to be protected. Does that mean that the world is going to be calm and tranquil? No, but if you're on that arc, you can guarantee you have God's guarantee that you'll make it. And yeah, it's a powerful metaphor for what this world, this life is like.
That verse 45, um, I know, like, this is God saying, like, learn from our past, you know, with the prophets and messengers histories. Um, but like, even aside from that, it like just made me think of, our submission. And just for example, when I went through that really awful experience of addiction and being homeless and going through all those things, um, we can reflect on things that we've done in the past and the outcome that came to be because of the choices that we made. Or so like I know hanging around certain individuals can be really toxic for my mental health, my emotional health, the safety of my children, the safety of my soul. And I may tend to lean on the wrong end if just like you put a rotten strawberry with a group of good strawberries, that rotten strawberry is going to rot the other strawberries that are because of its nearness. So and we're the same. If we keep consistently the wrong people in our um, day-to-day life, then we do tend to kind of like adopt or mimic some of their bad behaviors or forget God because they don't remember God. But one thing is since I've become a submitter, it like came to my awareness that I have an issue with material possession, like wanting an abundance of material possessions and just getting lost in shopping, whether whether I'm buying it or just shopping. I love both. And even just dreaming about getting things that I want. And I noticed I would get in this like trance, and while I was on my shopping apps, and I would just get lost. And then it's like so much time passes, and it's like, how much of that time did I really think about God at all? And so it was just, and then it makes like your religion difficult because you've spent so much time, you've invested so much of your time in the dream of things that aren't beneficial, and your life becomes chaotic. And but like I know, just through living through it, I know my triggers. I know, like, if I reflect and I pay attention, and I quit, notice quicker now how those behaviors come about. So learn from our past to work righteousness for our future. Prepare now for the outcome that we really desire, which is to be with God after this. Peace.
Peace be upon you. I I would like to like just make an observation on 71 to 73. So like God is kind of like opening the statement with the livestock, right? Um, and I find this interesting because God emphasizes like that this is a provision, like an intentional provision, right? Like God subdued it for us. It can be ridden, eaten, other benefits, and like even drinks too, right? Like so, like realistically, complete provisions, right? Like a material basis for any civilization, right? Like that's how we can start off. And the question after is like, are you going to be like, would they not be appreciative? And I find the question very important in this aspect because like you can look at the livestock in two ways. With either A, it can be like an orientation of the person who sees this livestock as a gift from God, right? And therefore, like under this framework, you are appreciative of God's authority. However, um, unappreciation in this aspect often means like you've relocated the source of that benefit to like yourself or to natural forces or like your own intelligence or like just the system in general. And this is this question is like pivotal. Like, okay, so yes, you slaughter the animal by God's leave, but who made it in the first place for you? Work is part of the process, but it makes us stronger as individuals. And are we going to appreciate that process when we do it? So I find it a very like deep question when it comes down to it. I don't know if you guys notice what I'm talking about. Peace be upon you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My voice was not audible. I think something was going wrong. Am I audible properly?
Yes. You're cutting in and
Uh,
out, but we can hear you, brother.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I've been reaching out to different platforms, and me and my wife, we have been working on a project so that all the submitters can benefit from it, and that is the submittermatrimony.com site. The objective is basically for submitters to find the right marriage partners because it's very difficult, and this is a situation where God already says that you should encourage people to get married, and that's what we wanted to do. So with that objective we have created that site. I just wanted to let everybody know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Praise God.
Good place for submitters. Yeah, get married. Praise God. Praise God. Anyone else? Comments, questions, thoughts?
Peace be upon you. God bless you all. My own, I want to put it like in a form of question, verse 68. Rabbi Auzu bika min hamazati shayatin wa auzu bika rabbi an yahdurun. It says, the devil is the other alternative. Did I not covenant with you, O children of Adam, that you shall not worship the devil, that he is your most ardent enemy, and that you shall worship me alone? This is the right path. He has misled multitudes of you. Did you not possess any understanding? I don't know if this goes the same with 172 to 7, 172, which talks about, being born with instinctive knowledge about God. Could this be where the covenant was taken with us? That's what I want to know. Because in 172, it's talking about, recall that your Lord summoned all the descendants of Adam and had them, bear witness for themselves. Am I not your Lord? Those said, yes, we bear witness. Thus you cannot say on the day of resurrection, we were not aware of this. No, can you say it was our parents, who practiced idolatry and we simply followed in their footsteps? Would you punish us because of what others have innovated? So I'm just putting it in a form of a question. Could this be where the covenant was taken? Thank you.
Peace. God knows best, yes. Based on what God tells us in the Quran, this is the covenant. When God says in Surah 7, 172, when he gathered all of us together, and we bore witness that God alone was our Lord and Master. And as you were repeating, Brother Ibrahim, this is when it was, so to speak, I'll use the word installed in our nature to worship God alone. Verse 61, that you shall worship me alone and that this is the right path. And verse 62, even though this is installed, this is our human nature, this is part of what's called our fitra, what? Satan has misled multitudes of human beings. And then the question, did you not possess any understanding? And as I reflect on verse 62, what comes to mind is that when a person chooses the devil as the other alternative, they really do not have any understanding. They don't understand the gravity of that choice. And this is this is intentional. What I'm trying to say is that when a person chooses Satan as their Lord, they are committed to that choice and they lack any real understanding of the gravity of what they have done. But it's something that they have been forewarned about. God has shown all of his signs. This is part of our human nature. And I just like to say, God willing, that verse 62 in particular, obviously, and other verses in the Quran, this makes me pause and reflect on the degree of to which Satan misleads our species as a whole. This is truly satanic hypnotism. It's a trance. It's a trance. It's literally a mass form of hypnosis and trance state. And the only way that we can snap out of this is remember God alone and worship God alone. Thank you. Peace.
Not all at once. Who else wants to make a comment? Share some wisdom. I'll make a comment. Verse 60, it says, "Did I not covenant with you, O children of Adam, that you shall not worship the devil?" You ask the average person, "Hey, are you worshiping God or are you worshiping Satan?" No one's gonna be like, well, almost no one says, "Yeah, I'm worshiping Satan." But the aspect is, if you're not worshiping God, all other forms of worship ultimately fall into the realm of Satan. Because Satan's objective is just to get people not to worship God alone. But the second that someone sets up a partner next to God, obeys some other source other than God, follows some other path other than to God, they're setting up the devil as that alternative, and it's very subtle. Like that's the thing I think people take for granted. They think that it's like, no, you have to bow and prostrate and give the person divine titles, this and that. It's like, no, it's very simple. We have the example in 6:121. Um, in So 6121 reads, "Do not eat from that upon which the name of God has not been mentioned, for it is an abomination." Very simple command. You're going to eat, say Bismillah, mention God's name. Says the devils inspired their allies to argue with you. If you obey them, you will be idol worshippers. Meaning that if God gives a command and someone chooses to follow some other command over God's command, you've set that other entity as a God beside God. And it's that simple. So God says, for instance, don't consume intoxicants. Um, if someone says, no, you know what, that's for that time and place, but today we can do it. It's not a big deal, right? They're setting up another God beside God. In that case, it would be their ego. But even if you follow your ego, you're ultimately following Satan. But I got a question for you guys. What is the significance of this name change between Iblis and Satan? Um, because if you look, and there is some exceptions, right? But almost entirely when God is talking about the incident, right? This division that took place, um, he's referencing the entity as Iblis. But then in this world, the entity is referenced as Satan. And I want to know, what do you guys think? What is the significance there?
Quick question, because like I think it's kind of closer to Arabic. Are not one of the names like rejector? Right, and like, is
Yes.
that the post?
Yes.
Is that post fall or is that pre fall?
Shaitan. Yes. Shaitan means to be rejected. Shaitan, Shaitana means to be cast out, to be rejected, uh, to lose. Now, Iblis appears to have been the name. I don't, God knows best. That was the name of the angel, so to speak. But see, when Iblis refused to bow, when he refused the command of God to bow, that's when his nature was changed. That's when his name changed to Shaitan, or Satan. And it goes back to the question I think it was Peter was asking. That's why in this world, in this life, the reference in the Quran is to Satan, because that Satan designates, and that is when he was rejected, thrown out, cast out. God knows best. Thank you. Peace.
So just to clarify, um, from my understanding, like, and I could be wrong, God knows best. I thought like shaitan, or like the word that's in my mind, it was like actually the act of rejecting, not so much the rejected. Am I? I just want a clarification on that.
Praise God. God knows best. Yeah, the act, right. You're right. It's the act of rejecting, and through that act, he changed his character, nature, whatever we want to call it, was changed. He became the rejecter. He became the ultimate rejecter and opposer of God alone. So through that act, Iblis became Satan. In fact, God, we know in the Quran, God throws him out. God knows best. Thank you. Peace.
Peace be upon you guys. I don't know. This is like Google's AI thing. But Iblis supposedly like the Arabic root. So it says many Islamic scholars derive the name from the Arabic root balasa, which means to despair or to remain in grief. Thus, Iblis translates to one who despairs of the mercy of God, right? Which found interesting, because that's kind of what happened, right? God told him like, "What caused you to not prostrate?" And instead of like repenting or seeking the mercy of God, he kind of doubled down, right? So I guess one could look at that and say he was despairing of God's mercy. I don't know. Maybe he thought such a high-ranking creature as himself being exposed, he couldn't bear, asking for mercy or something. I don't know. Again, this is just what I'm finding off Google. For shaitan, the Arabic word is shin ta nun, I think. And it's saying that it yields two primary connotations. Distance refers to someone or something that is far away or distant from truth, goodness, or divine guidance. Flames/rebellion. It also signifies someone who is fired up or consumed by anger, spite, and hostility. So essentially, yeah, it's like someone who's far away and rebellious, far from the path or from the guidance, maybe even physically, and who's like fired up from anger and spite and hostility, which is, I mean, if you look at his words, right, it's pretty spiteful. He's like, because you have willed that I go astray, I will skulk from them on your path. I will come from before them, from behind them, from the left, from the right, and you will find that most of them are unappreciative. So he knows he's going to hell. He knows he's condemned, but out of spite, he's trying to take as many people as he can with him. So I mean, it seems to fit the bill, but like the saying goes, God knows best.
So, like, based off of this, like these two definitions, could we not then say like Iblis is like the precursor, and Shaitan is like the doubling down?
When I read that, I was like, why would there just be a creature in heaven called Iblis? Hey, one who despairs in God's mercy, how are you today? So I don't know, like, but yeah, I do think the precursor maybe like would come after the Shaitan. I don't know if Iblis also went by a different name. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how naming up there works. You know what I mean? But if that's true, like then yeah, maybe he had a different name prior to his despair of God's mercy. I don't know. God knows best.
I'm throwing something in there. God knows best. I don't know. Okay, so this is right after Adam's like told his like tell them their names. Could it possibly be that Adam was like, this guy's a beast, and he was like, whoa, and that was the exposition. You know what I mean? God, I don't know. Like, does that follow chronologically?
But that'd be funny, to be honest.
I think, like Brother Douglas said, he was Iblis before then he became Satan. He became a jinn. Looking at how God has explained the Quran for us, he became a jinn. He became Satan. He must have been, you know, Iblis before he became Satan.
I got a question. I'm looking at verse 66. It's saying, if we will, we can veil their eyes, and consequently, when they seek the path, they will not see. Is that something that God does, or is this just kind of saying that, like, hey, we can also prevent you from even seeing the guidance, but God doesn't? Because you know what I mean? Like, if someone is seeking the path, why would God not let them see it? To me, just thinking about, oh, peace be upon you. Go ahead, brother.
No, Brother Ilham, you continue. I was premature.
No, God bless you. Just because thinking about the qualities of God, like, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't sit well that, like, if someone is seeking the path, God wouldn't let them see it, unless he knew that they were evil or didn't mean it. But then the thought comes to my mind that that would be an excuse in the day of judgment for them, right? So God wouldn't give them an excuse. He would let them at least see it and then reject it, kind of a thing. But this might also be a rhetorical thing where God is letting us know maybe that, like, he can also prevent us from even getting the guidance. So if we get the guidance, we should be appreciative, kind of a thing. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm throwing this out there. Go ahead, brother.
Yes. Verse 66, like you said, it's rhetorical, but at the same time, as we know, it's real. It's the reality. Only God can guide. So when a person commits themselves, him or herself, to the other alternative, i.e., Satan, their vision is what they're veiled. And of course, we're talking here about their spiritual vision. They may, physically speaking, have eyes, but as far as their spiritual vision, they are veiled. They cannot see. It reminds me of the example God gives us in the Quran of Prophet Muhammad when he ignored the blind man. Even though the blind man could not see physically, he was spiritually seeking the truth. Peace. Thank you.
Another verse that comes to mind is when, like, the disbelievers are, oh, why am I resurrected blind when I used to be a seer, right? That kind of deal.
Yeah. You know what? Like, knowing that God is the one that even allows you to see the path, right? Kind of puts a different angle on things, because, you know, sometimes we may think that, like, oh, wow, praise God, and pat ourselves on the back that I saw submission and I recognized it and I chose it, right? Like, yay for me, I'm such a good soul and so clever, you know, like, but that's not the case. Right? It's deeper than that. It's God knew we deserved it, so he allowed us to adopt the path, right? So us even becoming submitters, we think we chose it, but, you know, if God willed, we wouldn't have. And us being able to see it and recognize it is God's mercy, right? Otherwise, we'd be lost and suffering. Which reminds me of that footnote that Rashad wrote about Abraham. You know, was Abraham so clever, or did God, you know, like, seeing, I'm paraphrasing, like, that he deserved it, like guided him and gave him his intelligence, right?
I think it's
Peace.
also important to oh, sorry, go ahead, Douglas. Peace be upon you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it seems that once a person gives themselves credit for guidance, that's disaster. That's equivalent in the Quran to the metaphor again, the metaphor of where God says in the Quran, he uses the example of one whom he gives light. And as soon as God gives them light, he commits evil or he's a disbeliever. God takes away the light and they are in utter darkness. This is similar to a person, for example, who credits self or the ego for guidance. No human being can credit him or herself for being guided. Only God is the one that can guide. That's why we must often ask God for guidance and forgiveness because of our quote unquote original doubt, original sin. Peace. Thank you.
Peace. Yeah, like I was pretty much just gonna add on to that. Guidance is a blessing. Don't get me wrong, but it's also a great responsibility. Because like now that you know the rules of the game, as it were, right? Like now you have to abide by it, right? Like now you have to be appreciative of God's authority, and the knowledge of the message is a heavy burden as well. Like not so much like a burden, but like it can be if you go against it, and as Douglas pointed out, like attributing these aspects to your own wit or intelligence or wisdom or what have it, right? You've kind of denied God's authority in the process of also understanding his message, which is extremely detrimental, right? So I think at any time, if you think you're saved, like that's not a good thing, right? That's not a like if you think you're just good because you understand the message. I think that's a fallacy and something we have to guard ourselves against. God knows best. Peace.
Uh, that's a really good statement there, right? If you think you're good just because you understand the message, then you know that's a problem. There are people that have like come on this server and they understand submission very well. You know, I would even say they have more knowledge than like some submitters about submission and how it works and the rules and the parameters. They understand it very well. But that didn't help them because they chose to disbelieve and argue against God, you know. So for sure. The other thing this kind of reminds me of this, you know, crediting the self and thinking that you can get guidance, right? Like you can, by your own volition, by researching, by looking into it, you can get your own guidance. Is this issue with like 465 and accepting the messenger's judgment, right? Where I've heard like sensual commentary that yeah, hey, we didn't need the messenger to know that the age of 40 is like, or the age of responsibility is 40. You can get that from the Quran, right? And yeah, it's true. It's in the Quran, right? But God sends the guidance, right, through His systems. God has His systems, which is the creed, and it's not about needing something, right? I think Rashad even said one time, like, you don't even need the Quran to be guided, right? You just need God and you need to be sincere. But nonetheless, God has his systems and God makes his decisions, and God knows best, right? We don't question God. If he makes a choice and makes a decision to do things a certain way, then we happily accept that. God.
Can someone, Elham or anybody, can you discuss verse 69, 70? Thank you.
verse 69 and 70.
Yes, brother.
I'm just going to read it one more time, God willing. What we taught him, the messenger, was not poetry, nor is he a poet. This is but a formidable proof and a profound Quran. And the footnote says the word zikr refers frequently to the Quran's great miracle mathematical code, which is certainly not literary nor poetry. Please check out the whole list of verses here. To preach to those who are alive and to expose the disbelievers. I think the first part, I'm pretty sure it's talking about the Prophet Muhammad, right? Just because I don't see like Rashad being math coded in here necessarily. Although I don't necessarily think it has to. Sometimes context wise, it can refer to both Muhammad or Rashad, right? But the reason I'm leaning more towards referring to Muhammad is because of the poetry aspect of it. And the accusation is like, oh yeah, this guy's just a poet, he's making these lovely rhyming words, which is the Arabic Quran. And right, that was the argument there. But the second part is definitely talking about the Quran's math code. Right, this is but a formidable proof and a profound Quran. To preach to those who are alive and to expose the disbelievers. I think both aspects of the Quran serve that. Like the content part serves to expose the disbelievers, and same thing with the math proof that also exposes disbelievers, right? Rejecting God's miracle. And the preaching to the alive, well, I mean, yeah, you have up until the time of death approaching to respond to what God tells us, right? To the message, to this God's signs. That's the only commentary I have on that. Maybe someone has a deeper understanding.
Just to piggyback on it, and somebody was willing to talk. Go for it. Peace.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was just saying that God says that we will show them our proofs in the horizons and within themselves until they realize that this is the truth. So the profound Quran, I mean, what we taught him, the messenger is not poetry, nor is he a poet. So a profound Quran, the more we study the Quran and the mathematical code, the more we appreciate how awesome the mathematical miracle is. Like, for example, just to take an example, everybody of us have seen the HM initials. The count of the HM initials come to be a multiple of 19, right? But how many of us have seen so HM initials, if you say it is 19 times 113, if you add the digits, the exact number that you get is 113. Then there are multiple combinations, permutations. I think some you might have seen that. It is so awesome. Like HM by itself is like super awesome. So it is more than just a multiple of 19. The numbers that God has chosen, those are like very specific numbers. Let me see if I can find that article. I'll share it here. But the more we appreciate, if you look at Beyond Probability book, like you see there are so many combinations that we have for Bismillah. The probability like will go in like millions. So we are at the age, so we are so fortunate that we have been blessed with such an awesome miracle that we can see, appreciate, and we can witness whenever we want. um, and that's why God says that even though they did not see 1/10 of the miracle we have given to this generation, so like it's a really great miracle, and with that also comes like great responsibility on all of us. Thank you.
Justin, you want to talk before? You want to say something?
I'm just trying to
Go
fill
ahead.
the void, man, God willing. But if nobody's willing to talk, I can kind of add on to that because the brother here made some beautiful points. Um, I think it's very important to like, so like the comparison to the poet, right? Like we are inundated today with a lot of people who are poetic, right? Like they say nice things and there's a sliver of truth in it, and people are often misguided by it, right? We see this in a day-to-day stage, right? Like putting trust in politicians, influencers, life coaches, whatever you have it, right? Like they, these are the poets that I see in the Quran, right? And this is the what would you say? This is what they're claiming the prophet is, or the messenger is, right? A dismissal, to dismiss the message entirely. But like when it comes down to submission, right? Submission is to al-haq, right? The truth, or what is founded in reality, right? What is substantial and abundantly clear and apparent, right? And God has given us many proofs, whether it be through our creation, the creation around us that sustains us, or through the miracles to verify and validate His own word, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be just code 19. It can be any part of the process. As God says, He guides us from stage to stage, right? As long as you submit to the truth or the reality when it comes to you, that is what submission is. It's a consistent recalibration of our own presuppositions being destroyed by the reality of the situation, and I think that's kind of what's being we talked about here. God knows best. Just on a broader form, I'm not saying what these brothers said are wrong. I'm just kind of more generalizing it. God knows best. Peace.
Thank you all. God bless you. Really appreciate
I wanted to, I'm not sure if the comment was made already, but verse 74, it says, they set up beside God other gods. Perhaps they can be of help to them. On the contrary, they cannot help them. They end up serving them as devoted soldiers. Right? The first part there, that, you know, that's like the foundation behind like idolatry, right? And that's the only reason people set up idols, is because they believe there is either some benefit to them, or they set them up as idols because they believe that this idol can harm them. So to avoid harm, they idolize these things, right? Or they idolize, kind of a thing. So that's pretty much the foundation of idolatry. The thing with idolatry is that anytime you set up something as an idol besides God, the second you think something can benefit you or harm you, you set that up as an idol. The Quran dictates that your idols will invariably cause you harm. There's a verse that talks about comparing idol worship to the spider's home, calling it like the flimsiest home. And the analogy behind that is that, aside from the spider's web being weak relative to us, right? Just breaks, is that the spider also eats its mate, right? So here comes along male spider to reproduce, which is beneficial for the female spider, but in return, the female spider tries to kill the male spider, right? It's just doing his job for the benefit of the both of them. So that's one example of it. There's also another verse, I believe it talks about like their idols dupe them to the extent of like killing their children. Thus their idols invariably cause them harm or hurt them. I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember the exact wording, but I do believe it was after the verse, or it was in the verse that talks about like idols duping them to kill their children. And it's that statement that their idols essentially cause them harm. right? Because the concept here is that if you give power to God, God will never hurt you, right? God says, what would we gain from punishing you if you believed and led a righteous life? You know, God is the one who makes you laugh and cry. If you give all power to God, why would he make you cry? God is not a cruel God, right? He's not a mean God. So why would he just make you cry? Unless there's tears of joy and happiness, right? We've had those, right? Something happens and we see God's promise come through and it makes us very happy. He makes our wishes, our desires come true and things like this, and we cry out of joy. But tears of sadness or, mental anguish and harm and anger and despair and distress, this is not from God. If we give power to God, God will never do this. However, idols will, right? Hence why if you're feeling negative emotions, the roots of that issue is that you've likely set someone or something up as an idol, and it is now causing you harm. And if you remove the power you've given them and instead give it to God, then God will remove those negative emotions as well. He will heal the harm that you have experienced, right? Back to you guys.
Once again, just trying to fill the void and kind of add on, because I think this is a very deep conversation. Feel free to cut me off. Like a big thing that Elham mentioned that I think is like very pivotal is like once you think that something can benefit you or harm you other than God, this is despairing in God's mercy because you think something else can benefit you or harm you. So like we can see this in reality consistently. Like, and this is like anybody. I'm sure we all have had these experiences where like, I don't know, you have a micromanaging boss who really like discounts your efforts and all that fun stuff, and you're trying to please him and all that because you want to have a good benefit or a good quarterly report or whatever, right? Or like somebody's talking mean about you and like untruths, right? And you feel like this person's going to be detrimental towards I don't know, your stance in community or whatsoever, right? Like, don't despair in God's mercy, right? Like, just let it happen, and like, it gives a great confidence, a great peace, a great joy in knowing like nobody can benefit you or harm you other than God. Let them scheme, right? And what you'll find is like God is the best schemer. Look at Joseph, a perfect example, right? He could have been, like when the king was like, "Well, take this guy out." First thing he did was like, "Hey, check on those women who claimed like, I sexually assaulted them," right? Like, like from a point of power, from a point of confidence in God's plan, he was like, "Okay, well now the truth is going to come out," right? He could have simply said, "Hey, I was done here unjustly." It wasn't even the case. He was like, "Investigate it, see what the truth is." And I think if we put our full confidence in that God's got this, right, regardless of the circumstance, and we remind ourselves, like as a community, that these trials and points are to see if we are appreciative, regardless of what may come our way. Trusting in God is the best solution always. And maybe you don't understand it initially in the moment, but afterwards, when the light clears everything and you see it for what it is, you understand God's wisdom. It's truly amazing. So just to add on to that. Brother Douglas brought a very relevant verse. Brother Douglas, do you want to read it for us?
Peace, yes. Surah 2, verse 165. Yet some people set up idols to rival God and love them as if they are God. Those who believe love God the most. If only the transgressors could see themselves when they see the retribution. They will realize then that all power belongs to God alone and that God's retribution is awesome. Uh, by God's lead, what I wanted to emphasize in that verse is that idolatry is akin to loving other than God the most. That the actual submission and worship of God is the love of God. That's how God has created us, or he has created his system. So what we have in verse 165 is God telling us that the human beings who practice idolatry love their idols as if they are God. They take the fitra, they take what God placed in their nature, and what do they do with it? The devotion and worship that it belongs to God, they give it to an idol. Whereas those who believe love God the most, which is the actual submission to God alone. Thank you, peace. Peace. I'd like to just simply add another question of sorts. Uh, this is one reason why many people that are disbelievers, or God knows best, who are misled, they will tell you, no, I'm not an idolater. This is one of the reasons why they fail to recognize that they practice idolatry. They don't realize that what they love the most is not God. What they trust the most is not God. Thank you. Peace.
I
Praise
think
God.
peace be
Oh, go
upon
ahead. Peace be upon you.
my understanding is the element the thing is the attention. So you have the example of the parents who who ask God for a child and then turn the child into idol. That basically means that they give the attention too much.
I guess Brother Amin is saying that the consequence of loving something more is that you're gonna spend more time thinking about it, occupying your mind the most, and a bunch of things, right? You may obey that thing more than you obey God, right? Like, let's say your friends say, "Let's go catch a movie," and you're gonna miss your mother pair if you don't go, or if you go or whatever, and instead you choose to spend time with your friends rather than fulfilling your duties to God. Then that means you love your friends more than God, right? Or so on and so forth. There's a whole array of meanings and reasons.
And like brother, I mean, brought a good point in, like, in 71, 70 to 73, I think, verses where we talked about the livestock, right? Um, when we're in the thick of it, we can take what God blessed us and we attribute those blessings to something other than God, right? We see many examples of this, right? Like the guy in his garden, he's like, this garden that was bestowed upon me, it's because I'm so great. I demand more respect from the people, right? And like, even if I do die, I'll make a better garden in heaven, right? Like, he becomes his own God. He becomes the benefit of it himself, right? We see this a lot of times, right? And what's antithetical to that is Solomon, right? Like when he hears the ant talk, he laughs and he says, this is a test thereby to see if I'm appreciative, right? Like that's what it is, right? Like, are we going to attribute the blessings that we receive from God, or are we going to say that, like, are we going to worship and put our focus on what we actually received, right? And there's another perfect example with the horse from Solomon, right? That kind of ties in with Elham's example, right? he received this horse and then recognized that he missed his prayer because of it, right? And praise God, like he recognized right away where the sin was, right? Where his fault lied, and immediately repented. So like God's mercy is there. Just pointing to God as the source of all things is obviously the ideal, but catching ourselves when we stray away from that, that's the goal here of this life, to refine ourselves to a total submission, God willing.
What about 55? Do you guys think 55 is an indication that when the day of judgment happens, people will already be in heaven? Because it says the dwellers of paradise will be on that day happily busy. Right? But then you go to the it says, as for you guilty ones, you will be set aside. Did I not covenant with you, children of Adam, that you shall not worship the devil, that he's your most ardent enemy? I don't know. Something about this tells me like this is their accounting in progress, while the believers are already enjoying paradise when the day of judgment happens. In the interim, of course, between their death and the day of judgment. Yeah, today you will burn in it as a consequence of your disobedience. Yeah, just a little note there. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, God knows best. I don't know. The realm of God is very different than what we see here on this earth. Like it's very apparent, right? Like even in terms of like the time frame of a day, right? Like what is a day, right? Like God refers to it as like 1,000 years or 5,000 years, kind of just showing that there's like some time dilation, right? Like it's not the same for us here on this earth in reference to God. So I don't know. It's hard to determine what it would actually be like, right? Like I've even posited like as like, and may I add, like just beforehand, like I'm not saying this is the truth. It's conjecture. I don't think there's any way for me to confirm this, but a way I think about things is like this is the day of judgment, and our souls are currently reviewing our records, right? So like like is that a possibility? Sure, why not? Because everything's written, and God's running everything. But like it's hard to find out what chronologically happens on that day, and how long that day actually is in reference to us.
Yeah, I agree. I think the second it gets into the realm of like time in a day, is just something of it's an allegory to depict it. But in that allegory there is truth. It's not the complete model. It's a way for us to grasp kind of the bigger picture. What do you guys think of the word where it says happily busy? I always thought that's interesting because the cartoonish depiction of heaven is everyone's sitting on a cloud, and but this concept of when you're at your best is when you're happily busy. You feel productive, you're getting stuff done, you have purpose, you have meaning. What do you guys think of that when it says that it describes as the dwellers of paradise will be on that day happily busy?
I've actually thought about this like for quite some time as well. Like I've always seen that, and like God has a grand plan, right? Like this interim right now is, as God points out, for truth to defeat falsehood, because falsehood will invariably vanish, right? So what's the plan after that, right? Like what exactly does God have in store for like essentially two teams, right? The team that selected another god other than God as an authority, and then their rightful place, and then those who happily submit to God's authority, right, without question. It seems to me like this isn't what eternity is for. It's kind of like the starting. Does that make sense? Like pre-qualifications, like almost like the draft. You know what I mean? I've always thought about that. God knows best.
I do think that it we can extrapolate at something in this life too. That again, when you're just lounging, like, well, that's good for a time being, relaxing and stuff. That the human being, it's we're designed to work hard, um, and that's when we're going to get the most enjoyment. I think a good example of this is having kids. I know we brought up the example of turning the kids into idols, but what's interesting is if you look at it from a very hedonistic standpoint, having kids seems like a terrible idea. You're at their mercy. You have to adjust your schedule for them. They become a higher priority than yourself. But if you ask someone, "Hey, are you happy for having kids?" They say, "Absolutely." Brandy's sharing her story that she's willing to give so much just to be reunited. Um, so it's that aspect that we end up appreciating what we work for, and when we're our happiest is when we're actually busy. Is it's I'm trying to think how to maybe if there's a better way of depicting it. It's like you're productive, you're engaged, right? You're focused. I know they use the expression. It's you're in the zone. Um, and I think that's when most human beings they have the highest level of satisfaction.
Uh, because there's other verses in the Quran that talk about like the angels, they eagerly race to carry out God's commands, right? And what I kind of envision in my mind about like jobs or tasks in heaven, because I don't think it's heaven's like it's like a big resort and everyone's just got their feet in the water and stuff like that. Is that I don't know what God does, but maybe he like has different tasks and assignments and stuff, and you get to be part of God's, how do I put this, like his wonderful actions, right? Like imagine piecing together this universe and helping God by his grace create this universe, and you get to see the formation of supernovas and et cetera, and planets forming and all these elements coming into shape and et cetera. You know what I mean? Like that'd be pretty awesome. A lot of people I hear like, oh man, it'd be so great to just travel through the universe and see all the wonders of the universe. Well, yeah, the angels get to do that, right? So, and that's just like this universe. God knows what the laws of the other universes are, or the infinite possible creations he can create, because God is so amazing. And getting to partake in that and witness God's magnificence and glory in that sense, that's kind of what I imagine as maybe potentially being happily busy. Right? And there's also this thing where like maybe it's in heaven too, like, I don't know, but when you're working on something and you're working, and then finally you're done having it being built, there's this satisfaction of like, oh, like the rewards of the reward of satisfaction. Like I know that's the case when I'm like, for example, I was building my own website, right, and starting it from scratch with like AI code. It took a while and it was frustrating at first, and how come this isn't working? How do we get that to work? And blah blah blah. But then when I finally had it done, it felt really good by God's grace, So that in of itself is a blessing, right? The dopamine after completing a difficult task, and knowing that, hey, God will, like I can get it done God willing, like God will God will help me to achieve this goal. And then once you achieve it, it's a good feeling. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to echo that. Like, we are clearly beasts of burden, right? When we are, as Peter pointed out, in the zone, right? Like, time is kind of irrelevant. We enjoy the process, and once we see a finished product, that satisfaction of the job being done is like it's very difficult to say that you're not happy during that process. Don't get me wrong. There may be pain involved, right? Like you might get some boo-boos, or you might scrape your knee a couple of times, but like it's all worth it in the end, right? And, like even when we're bored, right? Like we try to find various sports or entertainment where we're moving, we're functioning, we're building as a team. And I think that's just kind of a premise of what could possibly happen in heaven. God knows best.
Peace be upon you.
Peace.
Verse 7, yeah, thank you. Verse 72, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And we subdue them, right? For them, some they ride and some they eat. Does it mean that though we know that God prohibited only 4 meats, 4 food for us, does it mean that these ones that we ride, we cannot eat them? Or God is, just telling us that there are some we have chosen to ride, because we love them. They do a lot of, things that gives us pleasure riding them. So we decided not to eat those things. But the question is, if you see anybody eating a horse, something like that, or a mule, or a donkey, would that be an offense? That's what I just want to ask. Thank you.
Sorry, brother. I couldn't understand everything you said, to be honest. So I don't really understand the question. My apologies. Could you reiterate?
Yes, thank you. God said some of these animals that He has given us, we ride some and we eat some. The ones we ride, I think we are the ones we chose to ride them, right? If we see anybody eating this kind of animals, would that be an offense? Like the horse, like the donkey, like the mule? What do you think? That's my question.
I don't know. Like, there's many countries that eat horse. Like, that's like not a very uncommon thing. Donkeys, obviously, like if you have a Sunni background, it's haram, right? But like I don't know, meat is meat, man. Depending on how hungry you are and like what's available, as long as it's not prohibited, fill your boots. That's my stance. But I don't know. I also don't have the same background as many in this community of like having these what would you say, communal prohibitions that have kind of made it taboo culturally, right? So maybe that's why I may have a different take than other people.
Yeah, Quranically, it is not forbidden, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's only food for prohibitions as we see in 6145, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That being said, like there's certain things that I don't want to eat. Like I know the Sunnis prohibit parrot, and like respectfully, if parrot's on the menu and I have other options, it wouldn't be my first take.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah. In fact, why I'm asking is because there was a time in Nigeria here where some people, slaughtered a horse to eat. they just wanted to create, some kind of, how do I put it? They know that, yes, because God prohibited only 4 foods for us. And I think it was an argument that ensued between them in their community. And they decided to say, let's prove to the world or to our people here, because culturally they have not been eating it and nobody was ever seen eating a horse. So they decided to, put the people of that community in a test by, slaughtering one, and they ate it, and it became, the talk of that moment. And it was a very hot something for the Sunnis, for the Hadith followers, and they tried to cause confusion. Yeah, this is why I'm even putting it here, so that we can understand, because God says we write some, it does not mean that uh, those who want to eat it cannot eat it. That's right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
like don't get me wrong, like don't eat a horse if you need a ride. Like that's probably not a good plan, but if you need to eat, you need to eat, right?
Look, yeah, just like you said, there are so many options.
Yeah,
I
praise
for
God.
one, I have a I have so many options. So thinking of eating a horse will not even come to my mind.
There you go.
Praise God. Thank you.
Yeah, praise God.
Peace.
Peace.
Verse 76. Therefore, do not be saddened by their utterances. We are fully aware of everything they conceal and everything they declare. Uh, God knows best. This verse is very interesting because it's what it says, do not be saddened by their utterances. And this is a reminder that, for example, in the case of the Prophet Muhammad, he was reassured by God because he became saddened by the utterances of the idolaters and disbelievers and hypocrites. And I'd like to reference this also to what Julius a moment ago placed in the chat regarding the idea of one's responsibility for someone else's choices. In other words, we should not be saddened by the utterances of disbelievers, hypocrites, and idolaters to the extent that we are distracted. We are distracted from reflecting submission to God alone, or we are advocating submission to God alone. We cannot be distracted and sidetracked by the reactions of the disbelievers. Thank you. Peace.
Yeah, the schemers will scheme, but God's the best schemer. Like, don't worry about them. Worry about your own neck, as God reminds us. Beautiful reminder.
Something that comes to mind is, how many resources these animals give, right? If you look at the things these animals give you transportation. These animals give you food if you eat them, and food if you milk them, for example. These animals gives you shelter. They give you protection. It's really one of the most amazing things is like this one thing that God highlights is responsible or is a source of so many benefits that, like, if you have a sustainable herd anywhere in the world, that's most of your needs taken care of. In the places where they don't have them, shelter, you have to gather wood. You have to make things out of like ropes and leaves and things like that. We're talking like primitive times, right? Food, you have to, you can't milk a fish or something. Like, you have to go catch it, right? You have to gather. Things have to be in season. You can't really leave where you are because you can't guarantee, you can't take your food with you a lot of the times, or it's very difficult. Uh, you know, we always, technologically, we always want to invent like the food, the one pill that takes care of all your nutrition, and this one device that like takes care of all of this, and the one device that takes care of all of, all your housing needs. And it's like God has already made that. And you can make more of it. It just reproduces. So I just wanted to highlight that. It's pretty, praise God, it's a pretty amazing thing.
And what's also amazing is like the best textiles are always from like animals, right? Like if you're looking for survival, wool is far superior than like any polyester, anything, right? Like it's like antimicrobial, so like you don't, your clothes don't stink right away. It the fibers relax in the heat, so they like allow for more what would you call evaporation of your sweat, but they tighten up in the cold, so it allows the to be a greater insulator, right? And like as advanced as we are, ironically, the best products are what God has given us. Praise God.
Peace. Did we talk about the fuel that the green trees make? Or did I miss anything about it? Or
No, go ahead. Tell us about it.
I just looked up online now, and I saw a YouTube video actually. This camping guy, you watch it like 3 hours. One guy campfire, and he does a lot of stuff. And I saw this scene that he goes to a tree. He makes a hole in the tree in a certain way, very carefully with his like a knife and stuff. And he places a like a bottle that near the place that he makes the cut from the tree. And he waits for a while, maybe like one night or so. Then the oil comes, and then the guy turns that oil into a light source somehow with the other things. So like, I mean, this is kind of, when you think about it, it is such a great system that a creature is eating sunlight, and then he's saying, and you know what, let me produce some oxygen after this. so like he does something because of the inspiration from God that he has, yeah, right, like as a tree. Imagine yourself like you're a tree. You have a duty, that your duty is you will eat sunlight, and the outcome has to be a very beautiful thing for others. Oxygen, fresh, uh, beautiful. And then, also like your byproduct will make, will like reflect what you initially received, like sunlight, right? So I just wanted to like make this reflection. Maybe others want to talk about it, but praise be to God. Thank you.
I wanted to comment regarding where is it? 60 65, 66, but 66 is if we will, we can veil their eyes, and consequently, when they seek the path, they will not see. Uh, there's the verse in the Quran. It says, "Never despair of God's mercy." Right? God has infinite mercy. And what's interesting is this: if you read this on the surface level, it looks like this is something that God is directly doing to them. But what we see is that this is a system. And the system is that when they choose to disbelieve, they basically aren't going to be able to see the path. God has given them the eyes, the ears, the heart for a purpose. But if they they how do you put it? Like tamper with it, they distort it. Then it's not going to be able to serve the function that it's meant to serve. And it reminds me of 35:8, where it says that, note the one whose evil works is adorned in his eyes. Someone who's convinced that what they're doing isn't evil, that it's righteous, that it's, in the cause of God, they're never going to seek to repent or reform, and they're never going to find the right path. But if they ever kill their ego and genuinely, seek God, seek truth, seek reality, God will allow them to see it. That's a choice that they have to make, and it's Surah 13, verse 11. It says, "Shifts of angels take turns staying with each one of you. They're in front of you and behind you. They stay with you and guard you in accordance with God's commands. Thus, God does not change the condition of any people unless they themselves make the decision to change. If God wills any hardship for any people, no force can stop it, for they have none beside him as Lord and Master." And this I kind of feel like it echoes this concept of like the multiple layers of the Quran and the truth. Because if you just read this from this one verse, it sounds like this is God just choosing them arbitrarily and saying, okay, you're not going to be able to see. Well, that doesn't sound fair. But then when you realize, like, no, this is a system. God created this system. They're operating within this reality, and the consequence is, if they turn away from God, then they're not going to be able to find the truth. But that's a decision they made for themselves, and God is the one who created the system.
Yeah, I think you see it in human psychology too, where like people with limiting beliefs uh, really fail to see the world that could be because of their limiting belief. And when they have a chance to reflect, what is critical is them being willing to let go of that limiting belief. And if they're not, they'll be stuck in there. But if they're willing to let go of that, they can see the world very differently. This is maybe rather Douglas can inform me. This is psychology stuff, right? Really, I've delved into this a little bit myself, and your willingness to unlearn is so crucial for restructuring your beliefs, and you behave in the world differently. You see different things. It's really that simple. It takes just a small amount of change makes it just transforms the whole world, right? Please go.
Peace. Uh, I would refer us to Surah 59, verse 19. God knows best. In Surah 59, verse 19, God says, "He who forgets his Lord forgets himself." That goes back to self, right? How I see myself, how I view the world. Uh, and that goes back to what you just said, brother. Peace.
So I have a deeper line question for the community. Like, as Rashad points out, like people who go to hell do so by choice, right? Like they choose to actively run to hell. And my question is like, okay, so if God is reality and truth, is there disdain for like breaking that? Like as Ismail kind of pointed out, to kind of unlearn that and to accept the truth when it comes. They are looking for the furthest way away from that. And we can kind of see echoes of that in today, where if you bring the truth forward to somebody who has a very subjective view, they have a fight or flight response, like most literally, right? Like there are people who are advocating for safe spaces, all that fun stuff, right? So my curiosity here is like, realistically, it seems to me that like God gives everybody exactly what they desire, not what they say, but what their actual true intentions lead them to. And if you want to be away from God, if you want to be away from the truth and reality, God gives you the furthest way possible to exist in that aspect. So realistically, like God's mercy even befalls those who choose to go against Him. Am I incorrect in that understanding?
I agree. I think a principle that God seems to value above most things, if not everything else, is free will, right? Forcing the disbelievers to believe, they might be living a better life, right? There might be like, something to gain from that. If you want to say like, oh, God just wants everybody to be like, simply happy in the simple sense, right? But God just doesn't want to force people, right? So unless you find that by God's leave, find the way to that acceptance, it's really not, God will not force that. Praise God.
Peace be upon you. I did want to take note. This is the halfway period of the Quran study. I did want to make a couple announcements. Well, one mostly. Brother, the Turkish community, the Turkish Submitter Conference is happening next month on July 19th. And Brother Aras will be present there. And he had the good idea that I also want to go along with because I like it too. That we should make a video of us saying hi to them, individually, and put it together. And this is for anyone who'd like to participate. Basically, shoot a 15 second, a minute clip. Don't go more than a minute. Giving your peace and greetings to the Turkish community, and maybe whatever else you'd like to say. I did film one. But I did not like my appearance, so I'm going to refilm it, but I will put it here for you guys to see how it looks, so maybe it can inspire you guys with an idea of what to say. All right, so here, I'm posting it now. All right. There it is. You guys can play it for yourselves if you guys want to know, see what you would like to say. You don't have to match what I say at all. It's just used for reference. Probably not going to be giving them this one. I saw the reaction. Whoever laughed at it, you guys are funny. So I wasn't really a fan of how I looked, so I'm gonna refilm it. I'll probably look a little bit different and send it to Brother Aras. Please, it can only really be built if people voluntarily do this, right? And so, this is a chance for the Turkish community, which, in my opinion, is one of the bigger submitter communities out there in the world right now, to let them know that people, the submitters elsewhere, are with them in spirit, even if they're not there physically. Right, and this is, in my opinion, a big deal. It shows, it shows unity. It shows caring towards one another, that we really do perceive each other as family. And that's an important thing, because in heaven, everyone in heaven is going to be our family. Right? If you really believe this notion, this idea, you really believe in this concept, right? This is, prove it, put it into practice, practice what you preach. Right? So anyone who's interested in possibly filming a short clip with them saying hi to the Turkish community and wishing them peace and blessings, and may the conference be a success, please contact Brother Aras or myself, right? And we'll work together, God willing. It's not going to be a huge hassle, by God's leave. And so that's mostly what I have to say. There was also a suggestion made that we should make a role for social platform creators and people who want to support them. Right now, this was floated by Brother Hisham, and I like the idea, but I'm not going to really push it forward unless other people think it's a good idea as well. So please let me know what you guys think, through DM or through community chat. And that's all from me. Does anyone else have any announcements?
Yes, God willing.
Oh yes, we have that one. Go ahead, Brother Alham.
Brother Sajjad's not here, eh? Okay, I'll just do the announcement then. So God willing, the Discord gathering will be for 2026 in Toronto. We have a couple of venue options depending on how many people show up. We're gonna have at least 10, 11 base people just from
He cut off, but you cut off, Brother Alham. You want to repeat 10, 11 base people?
Yeah. So there's at least 10, 11 base people that are coming just from the Toronto community, by God's grace. And we haven't reached out yet to people in Ottawa, Vancouver, people from Virginia in the US of A have also expressed interest in coming and said that they'll most likely come. They're just planning it once we give them solid dates. Speaking of the dates, I'm going to post in VC1-chat a link to the community chat where you can vote on either August 28th to 31st or September 4th to 7th. And if both work good for you, then you can select either. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and select either, just because either one doesn't matter for us. September 4th to 7th. The 7th is the Labor Day, both for Canada and the US of A. So that kind of works out nice. If you have kids that want to come, they would just have to take one day off, which would be Friday, right? I'm not going to say not a big amount. You decide, you be your own judge. Yeah. So if you can, please vote so that we can solidify this. If you don't vote by pretty much the end of the month, whichever one has the most votes. So if I get 10 eithers and one vote for September 4th to 7th, guess what? We're going for September 4th to 7th. Okay? So that's how that's going to work, God willing. And we'll probably make a couple of polls in the announcements. Also by July, mid-July-ish, we're going to close the poll for saying whether you're going to be coming or not, because based off that, we have to select the venue. In the masjid, the space will be limited. Okay, we can host about 25 people. After that, we would have to get another venue, which we would be getting, God willing. So for the sake of planning and organization, please let us know who will be coming, who won't be coming, and what dates work for you, please. It's in community, and I posted the link in VC1-chat. Is there any questions about the Discord gathering for 2026?
By the way, it's even though the Discord community is doing this, we're not limiting it to just people who are on Discord. If there are other submitters that may be interested, just make sure you give us a heads up. Who they are. Don't start telling me. Adolf Hitler wants to come. He says he's a submitter, right? we may need to check in with that a little bit. So please give us a heads up who you plan on inviting, just so we can keep track. We don't want assassins sneaking in, right? Also, if you have a strong maybe, just say yes. All right. If you're really going to try, you really want to come, you're really hoping, you think there's a good chance, a real chance that God is going to make it happen for you, but you're not 100% certain, then just go ahead and tell them. Go ahead and tell Brother Elham that you're planning on going. All right. We because I know everyone wants to just say maybe because they don't know. Maybe the week before something may happen. That's not helpful, right? If you really want to come and you're gonna try to make it, and there's like a 60% real chance that you'll go, then just go ahead and tell Brother Elham to count you. All right. If you can't make it, then God is running everything. Brother Elham, I'm sure you'll understand, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. You're just gonna lose your community role, but beyond, I'm joking. That's a joke.
Yeah.
There's no repercussions for
No
not
repercussions.
coming. You will be missed. The only thing you're gonna miss is embroidered hats and T-shirts that we will be gifting out, God willing, that say "God alone," "God is great," Code 19, or whatever. So
Dude,
we're
those are
gonna have
great.
little goodies like that. Brother Amr and the wonderful submitters in NY set a fantastic bar that we will competitively strive in righteousness to exceed, God willing.
And God
So if
willing,
you had
you
fun
do
at the last
exceed that.
gathering, you'll have a God bless you. Don't worry. Wait, it's not over until the bad lady sings. So
He's got it. I love this. We guys think about it. Like July, the Turkish conference in July is going to be huge. I think it's a couple hundred people estimated to be there. Right? It's time we enter the race. Right? So you guys, this is a time to say, hey God, I'm going on your behalf. I love you, God. I'm gonna try. I want to be someone that is not sedentary. Right. And guys, I'm not, I'm not trying to make anyone radical or extreme here, but this thing happens maybe once a year if God blesses us. Last year it happened only once. This year it may happen once again. We're hoping to make it happen by God's leave. And it is with people here, turning their nose into yeses that this thing becomes achievable. So God
So
bless you guys.
I
Go ahead.
also, just as we're making the announcement, I thought it'd be beneficial to have the poll up again for yes, maybe, little like slim chance, and no. Right. So that's also in community chat. If you can't get a chance to vote, I'm gonna go ahead and vote yes since we're hosting it. And again, I want to point out that if you see only like 7 yeses, for example, that doesn't mean only 7 people are gonna show up. That means a minimum of 17 people will be showing up because again, we have all of the Toronto community, or the majority of them anyway. Some may not be able to come. Of them basically joining and participating for the whole weekend as well. So even if one
Brother,
person comes, if you want to spend time with, almost a dozen other submitters, then yeah, by all means.
Peace. Can you provide some extra information, like at least the plan now with however many submitters that are saying to come, that they're coming right now? Like where, where do they need to book rooms? Where do they need to book their flight, the landing? Such
Yeah.
information like that.
No, excellent question. Thank you for asking. As far as booking rooms and whatnot, we haven't fully decided that yet because first we want to solidify dates. We already have ideas of where to book, right? Depending on where the venue is. So a couple things you want to solidify by the end of this month, first week of July, is the dates. We want to solidify that. Additionally, we want to solidify how many people are going to be coming. That'll help us decide the location and then also the bookings.
Well, so brother,
So
is it Toronto? Is Toronto the whole landscape, or is there like a smaller section of Toronto that maybe you can name so that we can, gauge if we can even afford any hotels in
if
that
you
area?
are if you are going to be coming to Toronto, where you're going to fly into is going to be Toronto Pearson Airport. Okay, Toronto Pearson Airport. I think it's called Lester B Airport, but Toronto Pearson Airport is where you'll be landing in. Don't worry about getting to where you need to go because we have shuttle service. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 submitters with vehicles, and we can shuttle people back and forth to the hotel. It's either going to be in Vaughan. The spelling for that is very interesting. Okay, I'm just going to post that in VC1 chat. So it's either going to be Vaughan, Ontario, or it's going to be in Scarborough, Ontario. As far as where the venue will be, and then of course where the venue is, we're going to try to pick a hotel that's also close by to that, right? For obvious reasons. But these are the
What's
two
the
areas we're
typical rate?
essentially going to.
What's the typical rate for like a room? A rough estimate.
I would say $100 Canadian,
Oh, that's like $10.
which USD.
I'm joking.
Pretty okay. It's getting there. It's getting there, buddy. You know. So yeah, approximately rough rate would be about $100 Canadian, $120 Canadian, which is about $70 to $90 American a night, right? That's the rough estimate. Speaking of which, with regarding to lodging, if the only thing that is holding you back is lodging, please reach out to Brother Sajjad or myself, right? Let me know how many people are with you, or if you're by yourself, and that you need lodging. We do have some, like I said, there's a bunch of submitters. We may be able to open up some of our homes to those who are not able to afford lodging, and the only thing holding them back is lodging. I don't know about flights so much. That may have to be something on your ends. But as far as lodging goes and transportation goes, I know that we can help with that, God willing.
Hell, don't be cheap. Fly me in, man. Get your airplane out and fly me in.
I'll just get my gins to summon you, bro.
I love you guys. All right, praise God. Are there other announcements, or if there are there any questions, immediate questions that you want to get answered for this? Praise God. All right, we're gonna resume the Quran study, God willing. I'm gonna reload the verses just for. I'm assuming we're still on the same verses, right? All right, was it? Let's see. Was it 51 or 41? It was 41. One second, I'm trying to find it. Yeah, chapter 36, verse 41 to 70 to 83. All right. God, those are all the verses that we've gone over today. We've done a lot of verses today. Praise God. Anyone ever wonder why he says the horn will be blown, whereupon they will rise from the grave and go to their Lord? All it will take is. I feel like he has said it. All it will take is one blow twice. Did I misread that? So verse 53, all it will take is one blow, whereupon they are summoned before us. Is this indicating that when the world ends, that it's going to be like everyone drops dead at the same time? Like some disaster happens that everyone just drops dead simultaneously? Or is this like a supernatural occurrence that causes everyone to die? What do you guys think?
The horn being blown?
It says verse 53, all it will take is one blow, whereupon they are summoned before us. Or is that the horn being blown the second time?
I think that
Or-
is the blow. Like literally blow. BLO. Like,
Oh, interesting. Let's look at the Arabic. Let me see. No, I think it's an attack.
mm,
Sayhatan.
it could be a sound. I mean,
Wait,
maybe the blowing of the
Saiha.
horn is the sound attack.
Yeah, you know, Saiha is the word for shout.
It is also for
War
the word for
cry.
shout. Oh, interesting. So it's both a shout and a blast. Very interesting. Let me see the 2 verses prior uses the horn will be blown. Let me see if it uses the same word there. 51, I think. Yeah. It doesn't use the same word. Okay, but it's still interesting, regardless. We died to an echo,
Verse
guys. Go ahead.
verse 29 says, all it took was one blow, whereupon they will be stilled. So we see in verse 29 it says they will be stilled. And then verse 53 says, one blow whereupon they're summoned before God, before us. So
Is
there's
it referring to the same blow? Do you think it's the same
that's
blow?
that's what I'm basically asking, so to speak. Yeah, is that the same blow where they're both stilled and summoned before us?
Interesting. Let me see where I think we the horn gets blown twice, right, guys? Let's see. Okay, so it says 69:13 when the horn is blown once. Let's see if it mentions it twice. I don't. I remember from my Sunni days, we believe the horn gets blown at least twice, right? Is that a Quran alone understanding as well?
Yeah. It says the first time it knocks everyone unconscious, except for one who's permitted, and then they blow it the second time, and then everyone is resurrected.
Do you think the horn being blown twice is linked to these two blows? Like I don't know if these blows are one and the same or they're two different blows, and if they're linked to the horn. Maybe I'm just asking stupid questions. God forgive me.
I didn't think of that. Maybe, but it says so. I think this just might be a kind of a remnants of the English language with multi-meaning words. Because I don't. I mean, it's interesting that it's there, but then if you look 49, all they see is one blow. 51, the horn will be blown, and then 53, all it will take is one blow.
Yeah, and the word for the blow the blow is say hatan, which can mean a shout, a blast, or a blow. And then the horn being blown twice, it doesn't use say hatan. It uses nuficha, like to blow into, right? And I'm just wondering if the horn being blown is linked to the blows that occur, and if there's two blows for the two horns. Sister Lisa understands it to be 2 days apart. Sister Lisa, why? Where do you get 2 days apart from? I mean,
I
I'm
think
not denying. I just was curious. How did you perceive 2 days apart between the horns being blown?
the blowing of the horns is This horn that is going to be blown twice. The first one will be when everybody will perish. If you look at 48, 49, this is what it means. And then the other one will be uh, when they will rise again. Because they were doubting. Some do not even believe. And God is assuring them here that all it takes will be one blow and everyone will be gone. Then the second one is the day of judgment. Then everybody will rise for that day of judgment. That's the full blow, inshallah.
Okay, God bless you. And they found the verse, the horn will be blown, whereupon everyone in the heavens and the earth will be struck unconscious, except those who will be spared by God. Then it will be blown another time, whereupon they will all rise up looking. The sequence of events on the day of resurrection begins with the symbolic blowing of the horn. The second blowing of the horn by a creature who is spared from unconsciousness marks the resurrection of all people. They will be resurrected on today's earth. This earth will then be destroyed by the physical coming of God. Then a new earth and new heavens will be created. We will then be stratified according to our degree of development. Okay, so it looks like the horns is a symbolic blowing, I guess. So they're not necessarily linked to the actual disaster that kills the humans, or if there is a disaster that kills the humans. I'm of the opinion that the humans bring about the end of the world as a result of their own transgressions. Right, that's my take. I don't know if anyone else shares a similar take. It's also possible that it's like, okay, hey, it's the end, so everyone just needs to be, unalived. Another interesting verse, Brother Zion, he puts it, when the blow comes to pass, that is the day when one flees from his brother, from his mother and father, from his spouse and children. Each one of them on that day worries about his own destiny. Doesn't this indicate that the blow is linked to the second horn, not the first one? What do you guys think? Because if we're about to die on the first blow, we haven't realized yet that day of judgment's coming, right? We just realized that we're dying, right? And maybe at this time you would see the families clinging together, right? Whereas the second horn being blown, we all wake up and the disbelievers no longer have any love for one another, right? So for me, it looks like then when the blow comes to pass, could that be referencing the horn being blown? I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to cause confusion. Forgive me. We can talk about another thing related to the verses. I feel like all I'm doing
Yeah,
is
I feel like this one needs a lot of like sitting down and like combing through verses and like trying to like piece together what happens. Because the events on the the day of judgment are kind of like separated a lot. They're kind of like they're not at all in one place. So it would take a little bit of effort to
wait,
kind of investigate.
brother Raju got a good verse here though. Look at this one. It actually says second blow. Yeah, let's see what Arabic word they use there. Because we were wondering if the two blows are one and the same.
I think it's raw different. It's kind of a unique word.
You're right. It's not sahitan. It's let me see. Yeah, it's a different kind of blow. Okay. I guess it just may be a little bit, perhaps multi-meaning stuff. Don't really need to fret over it. Sister Lisa offered a good example. I was always of the opinion that if you knew everyone is about to die, you'd cling to the people near you, your family, right? And then my understanding is like on the day of judgment, when they realized that everything before was just an illusion, they realized that the family they held was nothing compared to what they're about to face. So I always imagined that the running away from each other was after resurrection, not before resurrection. Or maybe I'm just maybe I have I guess maybe I think too too well of human nature that in the time of the end times that they would shelter with each other and come together. I guess that might be too much of a stretch.
Hey, peace.
Um,
Oh, you want to go ahead, Randy?
I just wanted to say off topic, God willing, someone just got a hold of me in a private message about the submitters conference in Tucson. It wasn't mentioned this time. I wasn't thinking, but it is going on. Anybody that needs any information about the Tucson Submitters Conference, please get a hold of me. I've got, God willing, I've got all the information that you need to get you going. Peace.
And Sister Brandy, the dates for that conference are what are they? I forget.
It is July 10th to the 12th, God willing.
All right, I'm gonna put a announcement in the community chat for all three conferences and who to contact for more information. God willing, as well as the dates. So this way, I'll pin it. And people can be able to refer back to it. So stay tuned for that. All right,
God bless
back
you.
to Brother Zion.
Yeah, you had mentioned about it being like Judgment Day or people like fleeing. How I took it as when the veil is like lifted, that's when people will freak out, see for what it is, and only care about themselves. At least that's how I saw it, as like a horn or the veil's lifted. Everyone sees what's going on, and then they just start fleeing, and everything that happens in those verses happen. That's how I took it as it. Whereas you took it kind of like the opposite. I found that interesting.
Yeah. So before the first blow happens, like theoretically they're seeing the death coming because that's the blow, and then when they get resurrected, that it says on that day the veil will be lifted, right? So my understanding is the veil is lifted after you resurrect, not before you resurrect, but that you may see the end of the world coming, and then there may be panic. But I did not imagine they would be disregarding their family at that time. I thought they would be disregarding their family like when they get resurrected. But I think there are people. Someone said before that they are also disregarding their family prior to their death. That I think that is probably more valid of an understanding. And I don't dislike your interpretation of the veil being lifted, but my understanding is that the veil being lifted is after they die rather than before they die. I think
So,
that, like, for me that makes more sense. Good.
but okay, so when the horn is blown, right? Is that when like we die and then we are
Yeah, you
resurrected
drop
back?
dead essentially. Horn blown, you drop dead essentially. Like, or like it may be timed with some sort of real life event that kills you and everyone else on Earth, but essentially the horn is the symbolic representation of the time where everyone is going to be, unalived, killed.
I see.
Right. And now, the question of like, what is going to be happening that kills off everyone? It could be some sort of natural disaster. It could be just, I don't know, some sort of experiment gone wrong that just simultaneously eradicates all all humans across the board. I don't know. It could be God can use anything. He uses asteroids. He can use diseases. He can use earthquakes and hurricanes. It could be any number of things that kill all humans. That's my piece at least. I did load the verses. The floor is open for anyone who wants to comment on any of the verses, or if you want to talk about a different topic, it's okay too. Don't all of you jump at once.
Sorry, bro. I'm just working on the gathering.
What is it? Verse 75. On the contrary, they cannot help them. They end up serving them as devoted soldiers. Are they saying that they serve other gods as devoted soldiers? Verse 75.
Yeah, I mean, one of them, in one way, they used to sacrifice children for them, right? So
Interesting. No, but I mean, I think so. On the contrary, those other gods that they set up cannot help them. And then the next statement, they end up serving them as devoted soldiers. And so instead, it's the reverse. They end up helping the other gods, right? So
yeah,
the
yeah,
help ends up going in reverse rather than the gods helping them, right?
yeah.
Interesting.
That's what I mean. Like the gods get to have,
Their
a
help.
lot of these are jinn, right? And a lot of them are like get reputation. They get more resources to like do what they do, and so yeah, it's kind of the other way around. Yeah.
Hmm. You know another thing. Therefore, glory be to the one in whose hand is the sovereignty over all things, and to him you will be returned. I never thought about it this way, but like returned, like have we been lent out? A lot of us think we're returning, we're physically going back to him, but also, like, did we physically depart from him?
Yes, the soul. Well, the soul, right? Go down. You all go down. Earth will be your habitat for a while. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So the return is to God, as we know, as you know. And to him you will be returned.
It's very interesting. But he links it up to glory be to the one in whose hand is the sovereignty over all things, and to him you will be returned. And the way he phrases it, though, it's as though he has handed us out to someone else for some time, right? Because he says, the one in whose hand is the sovereignty over all things. So sovereignty is like the command and authority over everything, right? And there are other verses where he says he bestows sovereignty on whom he wills, right? So it's very interesting. It does sort of go with the theme of like we've been made constituents of someone else,
Yes.
right?
God
I think
knows
it's,
best. Yes.
it does give that feeling. And then like so the being returned to God has a double meaning here,
In
right? It's
this
not,
life,
uh,
I'm sorry. In
no, go
this
ahead.
life, we are subject to the temptations of Satan, right? In this world and in this life, individuals they worship idols, idolatry, you know, other than God alone. But when this existence in this world is eradicated, everything will return to God alone. To God belongs everything in the heavens and earth. To God belongs all sovereignty of the heavens and earth. So we will be returned to the one to whom everything belongs, who is eternal, as you know. Thank you. Peace.
Praise God. Brothers Dion, he puts chapter 22, verse 2. The day you witness it, even a nursing mother will discard her infant, and a pregnant woman will abort her fetus. You will see the people staggering as if they are intoxicated, even though they are not intoxicated. This is because God's retribution is so awesome. Is this talking about Day of Judgment or the end of the world, though? Let me see. For the quaking of the hour. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know if this is before they die or is this after resurrection. Okay, maybe it's
That's why
both.
that's why I had the impression that at one point we are still like alive if we were to be alive during that time when it happens. That's how I took it as, you know what I mean?
The quaking of the hour. Yeah, so I think the hour is supposed to be the end of the world. So the quaking of the end of the world. I'm honestly not sure. I'm leaning towards you being alive at that time. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the staggering. I think that's when you're alive because you think people are drunk, right? And this is kind of reminiscent of the verses that talk about like there will be like, hay in the wind or something like this. It was reminiscence of like the retribution that happens on earth to disbelievers in a in a big group, in a big retribution.
And, but I imagine with like the quakes and the tornadoes and the the asteroids, people are running and panicking rather than staggering like zombies, right? But in this situation, maybe they're witnessing the retribution about to happen, and they've just lost all meaning in their lives, and so they don't care about the
Yeah.
baby, they don't care about the child.
But
Everyone's about to die. Who gives a crap, right? Is that
plus,
possible?
the staggering, as if they're intoxicated, also refers to the fact that there's no longer any gravity. All of the force of gravity, etc., that give us the sense of standing up. The mountain stabilizing the earth rotation. All of this is eviscerated, so the person cannot even walk. They can't even walk upright. Thus, you have them staggering as if they're intoxicated, even though they're not intoxicated. Thank you. Peace.
Well, that's actually a brilliant way of looking at it. I had imagined it as though they've lost meaning in life and they're just staggering because they're devoid of that meaning. But I like your take better because I think it makes more sense to the Quran that the world is on like becomes shaky ground and everyone is having trouble just staying standing. I never thought of it that way. God bless you, brother. Praise God. That's cool. I'm sorry, guys. Like I had a completely different reading, and you guys are, praise be to God. You guys are really helping me out here.
It reminds me of like, how in the movie when somebody has been traveling a long way, they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're on their last leg, they walk like they're barely sober. They're
Yeah,
like
but that's what I was
tripping
imagining. I was
over
not.
themselves.
Yeah, but I was imagining that they were just like, okay, is this it? Are we about to die? And they just stopped caring about everything, and they're walking as though they're intoxicated like zombies. This is what I had imagined. But if the Earth is literally quaking and shaking, about to pretty much blow up, then that makes also sense that they'd be staggering like they're intoxicated. So I mean, I'm good either way, but I think I like the earth quaking understanding is more in line with the Quran. And look at me, I'm caring about the last day. I'm not even gonna be there. I mean, I'm not gonna live the next 250 years, God willing. I mean, unless I don't know, God's gonna provide super medicine for everyone to live 300 more years. Lisa, I have been watching too many horror movies. Verse 66, if we will, we can veil their eyes, and consequently, when they seek the path, they will not see. And if we will, we can freeze them in place, thus they can neither move forward nor go back. This is interesting. God is saying, hey, I control the level of guidance that they get. I can make them understand and comprehend and walk the path, or I can withhold that comprehension. I can withhold that guidance. Right, but then people complain, okay, well, isn't God sort of playing favorites? Why doesn't he give everyone all the guidance and all the wisdom? Right? Isn't it unfair that God guides some people more than he guides others? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Peace. I mean, think about it this way, and I feel like there is wisdom when God says He will misguide those who refuse to believe. Imagine if someone is a disbeliever but very knowledgeable about the religion. They can easily misguide you. Like they could pretend to be like a solid believer. Like for example, someone who would claim messengership within themselves, they're disbelievers. But then at the same time, they have a very good comprehension of the religion. So they would explain religion to you, and they would be able to misguide you in like specific targeted ways. Meanwhile, God's promise is the opposite of that. If someone chooses to disbelieve, God will make sure they don't understand the Quran. So, in a sense, making sure that the truth is within those who believe. And if someone doesn't believe, they have falsehood. Like making sure these go together, belief with truth and disbelief with falsehood. Otherwise, it becomes confusing. What do you think?
I think you're right. For the most part, I didn't hear anything I would say is wrong, and it sounded right to me. There's a verse that says, "Most of those who believe do not do so without committing the unforgivable sin, right? The idol worship."
Uh-huh.
And so, like, the question is, okay, there are people who believe, but they don't believe correctly, right? And then this ends up being worse than just straight up disbelieving, right? Because they're essentially they essentially end up being very hypocritical in their takes and their stances, right? I find that interesting. So it's not just a matter of just believing in God, but like believing in God correctly, right? And part of believing in God correctly, the desire to worship one God alone often means, you need to be willing to put your ego down, right? Now the devil, he had no problem looking like he was worshiping God alone, right? Oh, if God told him to prostrate to me, being God, like if God said, "Oh, Iblis, prostrate to me," he would not have a problem doing that, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm worshiping you," right? But then, when your God tells you, "Oh, I want you to face the Kaaba and prostrate in that direction. I want you to face this individual here, prostrate to that individual." Right? The prostration itself is just a physical movement. The act of worship is something different. It's the obedience that goes along with the command coming from God. That you're willing to put your own self, your own ego away when God's command comes. And we see this, like, if you watch any Chinese dramas, right? You have like the emperor's envoy, the emperor's eunuch or something. He comes with a golden scroll of the emperor's edict, his decree. Everybody, with his arrival, everybody bends the knee. All their heads are beneath even the eunuch that's bringing the decree, because he's acting as the emperor in that situation. And they all kill their egos, or at least act like they kill their egos, to listen to the command from the emperor. Right? This ends up being like, are you able to do that? Right? Are you able to put your ego aside when God gives you a command you're not comfortable with? Right? Because hey, you realize when God gives you the command that you're not comfortable with, you need to realize that the problem is within you and not with God. Because God has no problems. God sees what we do not see. He knows what we do not know. That ends up being so. So this guidance, God veils their eyes, keeps them from seeing, or lets them stay in place. Right? God does that because He knows what is in their heart, that they don't have the right attitude about things. I've talked to people like, "Oh yeah, I believe in God." Then okay, then why don't you turn righteous? Why don't you obey? Why don't you listen? Why don't you care? Well, isn't just believing in Him enough? He's there. He's God. He's got everything under control. What does He need me for? I can live my own life, do my own things. I'm not stepping on His toes. Why has He got to come step on mine? Okay, your belief is not real belief. That's not actually believing in God. You like to believe in He's God. That means you're willing to put your ego down when it comes to Him. And people don't get that. Like it's not just a matter of just believing in God alone. You have to have the right understanding. To some degree, of course, you don't have to have perfect understanding. Like I don't think God's going to condemn me for not understanding how the events of the day of judgment work, in sequence. I'm here trying to piece it together, and you guys, by God's leave, are helping me out. I don't think God's gonna, send me to hell over this. God willing, please don't send me to hell over that. But you guys know what I'm saying.
Praise God. Also, I'd like to just have like an amendment to what you said earlier. Like, I do agree with you, and I would put like those like in the category of those who believe, but like commit idol worship, meaning they don't believe correctly. On the other side, on those who don't have like the truth, and you wouldn't necessarily call them. I mean, this is kind of like a question. Kind of a question. If someone says they believe, but then they pollute their belief with idol worship, technically they are not believers, are they not? They're idol worshippers now. They're outside of the category. Like if we're talking like chapter 2, where God divides the people to three categories: believers, disbelievers, and hypocrites. They would either fall into the disbelievers or the hypocrites category. They wouldn't really fall into the believers category.
This is a tough topic for me simply because, we like to draw the lines. Oh, this is X, this is Y, this is Z, but then there's often overlap. One of my favorite verses in the Quran. I say this every time. Every time I need to bring a verse, it becomes my favorite. I'm sorry, God. I I shouldn't be doing that. But whenever I do it, just it's very meaningful to me. Look at chapter 28, verse 10. A secret future God was rejected. Says the mind of Moses' mother was growing so anxious that she almost gave away his identity. But we strengthened her heart to make her a believer. Right? This is like a transformation process. Muhammad was an idol worshiper, right? And in that state, you can say, oh, well, he's like a disbeliever in that state. But God has already stamped who's going to be a believer and who's going to be a disbeliever. He already knows ahead of time. Right? So the idol worshiper may be the monotheist tomorrow. The idol worshiper today may be the monotheist tomorrow. So he's like right now, if I have a submitter, they give me a false prohibition because they have a bad understanding, and we recognize false prohibitions, they're shirk. Right? Okay, his bad understanding, it may be solvable in the future. He has everything else right. All right. I'm not in a hurry to go ahead and label him as an idol worshiper. I would try, okay, he's a believer that is, or a submitter that is trying to get it right. And he still has some time. And it is a topic that there's contention on. Right. Okay. Let's give him some time. Maybe, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, it makes sense. Right. This is why I'm not a fan of like, if he's currently an idol worshiper, he's definitely a disbeliever. I don't like to immediately paint the picture. I do believe if you're not a worshiper and you die like that, then yes, you're probably a disbeliever unless you're under the age of 40. But there's always so many nuances to these things, and I'm always afraid of compromising. I'm always afraid of dividing. I'm always afraid of beating around the bush. But sometimes I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I just showed you Moses' mother because she was anxious. Right? God's like, okay, that's not the state of a believer. I'm going to strengthen your heart so that you be a believer. Right, or if you look at 61, 2, and 3, right? It says, "Oh, you who believe, why do you say what you do not do? Most abominable. The worst thing in the sight of God is that you say what you do not do." Right? This is he's addressing the believers. Right? So there's sometimes overlap in certain regards. So I'm the idol worshiper, they die like that, yeah, they go to hell. But a submitter struggling with a prohibition, I'm not quick to dismiss and claim he's a disbeliever kind of thing.
Also, to introduce some nuance, maybe we should kind of say it from like different perspectives. From our perspective, like as human beings, we don't really have like a full knowledge of a person. Like this person, like two verses comes to mind. The verses about hypocrites someone could be hypocrite and we wouldn't know. And the other verse where I forget the exact reference, where God is saying there is like people in heaven that we did not expect them to be there. So it goes both ways. Like from our perspective, we could be wrong. We could be certain this person is either a believer or disbeliever, but then we're completely mistaken. But then from God's point of view, like God knows for certain who's a believer, who is a disbeliever. He knows it for certain. So when you say that, for example, if someone is God guides the believers, God knows who the believers are, but then we can't say that, for example, God will show us who is a believer and who is not a disbeliever, because we can be disillusioned and assume this sign is, well, categorizes this person to this stage or not. But I guess there is some levels. Like for example, if they go against something clear against the Quran, then that is obvious. But then at the same time, there's also like patience, because like you're not gonna absorb and then accept the Quran in a day. You know, sometimes you would have like differences. Sometimes it takes you time. Sometimes you simply refuse. It's everyone's free will. And something else Amr said, how about things like, for example, not fully understanding how the world ends, or for example, not fully understanding how a story is. It is quite complex. It is quite complex, and I do agree with you when you said earlier, like you hesitate to do it, and I also hesitate because it is a bit, well, scary, and it is a responsibility, and we can't just say, oh, I have the ability to say this person is this or this person and that, and then just go at it. Like that's tyranny. That's tyranny. That's something that is, well, a fast track to becoming a pharaoh. God forbid we don't become like that. But at the same time, the other extreme is, well, zero limits, zero understanding. We just are what we are, and then you accept everything, and then it's disillusioned. Like it's all melded together. There is no how to say it. There is no limits. There is no boundaries. So there is some limit. There is some how to say it, some balance, which is from a perspective, is to let people be free. This is their choice. This is their life. This is their chance. At the end of it all, it's them. It's their necks that's going to be held to account to God. Like they're not going to be taken with their guardian or whatnot. No, they're going to be by themselves. But at the same time, we should uphold the truth, and the truth is something that we manage to observe. So it's a balance between upholding the truth, but not exceeding people's freedoms, and it kind of gets tricky. But I guess that is the test, I guess.
It's funny. Brother Raju brought up a good point. He says they may reflect and change, but at that point they are an idol worshiper. Their journey or final destiny is known to God. One day they may be better than you and me, but we can judge their actions at that point of time. However, some people go extreme and repel them from the path of God. No, so it's true. We're supposed to judge by the book, but we also have to remember. We also have to know what we are to judge and what we are not to judge. Right. So there's an example with Noah, where the people are telling Noah he should be dismissing these people. These people are bad people. Right. And Noah, his point is he does not want to judge and dismiss someone who may be a believer. Right. He's like, hey, I'm not actually sure they're disbelievers. I don't think they're as bad as they may not be as bad as you say they are. Right. Judging based on the action, that is not a problem. Hey, you're being a hypocrite when you do this, or you're being hypocritical when you do that. Right. Hey, if you trend in this way, you may be a disbeliever. That's not good. You got to reflect, maybe repent a bit. All right. So judging based on the action, this is never the problem. Right? We don't have an issue saying this is wrong and this is right. Right? But dismissing a believer as a disbeliever, that is a huge transgression. Right? It's warned about in the Quran. Right? And it's not always easy as identifying the wrong actions from the right actions. Right? A believer can still be committing the wrong action. Right? And I say, hey, that action is wrong while they're still a believer. Chapter 61, verse 2 and 3 is proof of that. He's addressing the believers. Oh, you who believe, why do you say what you do not do? Most abominable in the sight of God is that you say what you do not do. This means that the worst thing that God can see you do, and he's still identifying this amongst the believers. Right? There's chapter 4, verse 94 makes this point very serious. It's talking about the concept of saying someone's not a believer, right? Oh, you who believe, if you strike in the cause of God, you shall be absolutely sure. Do not say to one who offers you peace, you are not a believer, seeking the spoils of this world. For God possesses infinite spoils. Remember that you used to be like them, and God blessed you. Therefore, you shall be absolutely sure before you strike. God is fully cognizant of everything you do. So this judge by the book, yes, we absolutely do that. But be careful that you don't make this statement and take it too far and start judging where it's dangerous to judge. Right? Easy to identify what they do is wrong. Hard to say that in their heart they're an idol worshiper. In their heart they're a disbeliever. Right? Muhammad, if you meet Muhammad when he's 35 years old, Muhammad, you're an idol worshiper. You're going to go to hell. I'm going to dismiss you. Wait, no, but I care about God. I love God. I want to worship God alone. What are you talking about? Muhammad doesn't even know he's an idol worshiper yet. Right? But God knows he's a righteous person. That he's going to be God. He called him righteous. You'll see. Chapter, I think, which verse is it? He called him, here, there it is. Look at this. Chapter 68, verse 4. This is very interesting. So when Muhammad was still an idol worshiper, he tells Muhammad, you are blessed with a great moral character. Who is God telling right now is blessed with a great moral character? Muhammad, the idol worshiper. This is the second revelation. Muhammad has not fixed his shirk yet. Now you are blessed with a great moral character. Right? So he's identifying that in this idol worshiper Muhammad, that he has a great moral character. Right? This is very important. We don't realize that there are idol worshipers. They are trying to be believers. I was an idol worshiper, but I cared about God. I was like, look, I don't see why we have to have Muhammad in our salah. Well, you have to. That's how it was taught by Muhammad. If you care about God, you're going to pray the same way that Muhammad taught you to pray. And I was like, okay, I don't like this, but I will do it for God's sake. There are those idol worshippers out there. They're trying to be believers. They're trying to submit, and God does eventually guide them. But when you meet them, they may not have been guided yet. Right. This is also why when we woo people over to the religion, we do it in the nicest manner possible. Right? Oh, you're an evildoer. You call on Muhammad in your salah. You're committing shirk left and right. This is not great. You're not going to call anyone to God in this way. Right? This is why, at least with submitters, I'm careful with like dismissing them or calling them a disbeliever. Even now, when I rather, instead of saying hypocrite, I say what they're doing, I do believe is hypocritical. This way, I think they should reflect, come to a different understanding or a different behavior. Right? And I have faith that God will guide them. I believe they will be a believer with me in the end, God willing. God bless you, sister. God guides. Right? May God guide me further. And may God guide all of us. Guys, I do have to go. This Quran study, please continue it. If you guys have to go too, I think that this would technically be near the end of the official Quran study, but I know a lot of you guys like to stick around and keep going, and may God reward you for that. God bless and peace. Peace, brother. What's up?
You didn't vote on the dates or the attendance yet.
Because I haven't decided which date. I have a month to pick, right? I'm not gonna. We're gonna. By the way, we will be reminding people over time to go submit their vote. But if you try to get it in, so you don't have to be reminded later, because you may forget, and it's gonna go off without you voting, and it's gonna be awkward. But God willing, we'll remind the server periodically, and it's still on my head what I'm gonna do, brother.
God bless you.
God bless you. Peace. Take care.